The airfield repairs have started, and like the generals themselves have set up their HQs on the island by now. And they land, and they are told that they will be able to talk to General Terry Allen, who currently commands the Big Red One, the United States First Division, which is under Bradley's Second Corps. And they said he will be able to help. And by 14th July, when they land, they are unable to find the 7th Army HQ, right, where they think they might be able to find Terry Allen. And at this time, Patton has begun his drive to the west of the island. So they also go. And instead of beelining straight for Patton, they find a castle on the coast. And they decide, hey, let's take the opportunity to sightsee. And after sightseeing that castle, Corvo decides that he needs to requisition this castle for himself and his men. And it's a bit strange that a lieutenant, in the presence of a colonel and another captain with him, he's requisitioning the castle over them. It's a bit unorthodox. Now they reach the town of Licata, sorry, which is on the coast on the map, and they have to meet the G2 of the 7th Army, Colonel Oscar Cook. He's like the head of the 7th Army's intelligence, and they think he'll take them to Patton. But guess what they decide to do first? They find an open barber and cafe. And so it's delayed. Now, Oscar Koch had very little enthusiasm, and he just kind of pushes them on to someone else. And even the Corvo was saying, no, I'm from Melili, I have a lot of connections and everything. And Koch just says, just go there. But the problem is, where Koch had suggested for them to go is somewhere around here in the central eastern part of Sicily, which is under 8th Army control and not the United States. So there's not going to be anyone for them to go. And you can't even fault the 7th Army's officers for taking these guys as a joke. They are intelligence officers who are not seeming to have much grasp of their intelligence picture of what they need to do, when they need to go, etc. Now, at the same time, the OSS's mission, they landed with the first waves, moved back, made contact with the mafia, and well, the rest is history with what the naval intelligence did. But yeah, I guess this is just a amusing thing for this mission.
Yeah, it certainly is. So where I had left off, Operation Hardgate was going to be executed by the 30th Corps, supported by 264 25-pounders and 88 medium guns, which had stockpiled about 150,000 shells, and there's also going to be some aircraft bombardment. This is going to be directed against the main line, and also the southern outpost of Atrano, which held the village of Centeripe, situated atop some steep hills, making it nearly impregnable. The surrounding smaller hills were also heavily defended, necessitating their capture before a direct assault could be laid against Centeripe. And the position was being defended at that time by the 3rd Fallschirmjäger Regiment, supported by some artillery and several tanks. Major General Vivian Evenlay's 78th Battle Axe Division was going to be assigned with the task of capturing Centeripe, and they would begin their march on the night of the 29th, coinciding with the 3rd Canadian Brigade's capture of Setanova, which would establish a bridgehead across the Detano River. Evelay ordered his 38th Brigade to assault Centeripe under some artillery support, with one unit flanking to attack the rear. Actually, I'm going to change my map. I think I have a specific map for this one. This is the drive against Adrano, Agria. This is close to the area, I believe, but I don't know if it shows. No, I'll keep the other map for now. That'll be in the future. Again, folks, if you have a chance, check us out on YouTube. We have a lot of visuals. So that would establish a bridgehead across the Tano River. Now, at noon on August the 2nd, the 2nd Battalion of the London Irish Rifles initiated their assault on the commanding hills overlooking Centeripe, and these would be points 704, 611, and 703. Bombardments from their 25 pounders preceded the attack as companies G and F successfully seized points 704 and 703. However, at point 611, it was proving pretty hard. The enemy was holding out, prompting Evelay to order his 1st Battalion of the Royal Irish Fusiliers to storm the rear of Centeripe, while the 6th Battalion of the Royal Inskilling Fusiliers ascended a 100-foot cliff to secure a foothold on the southern edge of the village. The Royal Irish Fusiliers had knocked out 2 Panzer IIIs with some anti-tank rifles as they engaged in house-to-house and street fighting against German paratroopers and German snipers. Additional forces from the 38th Irish Brigade also arrived to assist the assault. The Germans then launched one unsuccessful counterattack before ultimately surrendering Centeripe on August the 3rd. The capture would threaten both Adriano and Catiana, leading to the collapse of the main line and prompting Axis forces to retreat to a secondary line closer to Etna, which is called the Etna Line. And this would run from San Fratello through Troina and Adorno. Now, I just want to pull up a new map of Troina. Here we are. Now, by July the 31st, Patton felt confident enough to support eastward operations. More or less, he just wanted a piece of the action. He wanted to fight. And he ordered the U.S. 1st and 9th Divisions to attack Troina. This town was considered one of the main anchors of the new Etna Line, defended by the 15th Panzergrenadier Division and 4 battalions of the 28th Osta Division. For about 6 days, the U.S. 1st Division, aided by some elements of the U.S. 9th Division, a French Moroccan infantry battalion, 165 artillery pieces, and numerous aircraft would assault Troina. Now, on the first day of battle, Sergeant Gary Kister's men would be silencing 2 machine gun nests, and he would earn a Medal of Honor for his bravery. So I actually have his citation. I'll just read it to you. On July the 31st, 1943, near Gagliano, Sicily, a detachment of 1 officer and 9 enlisted men, including Sergeant Kisters, advanced ahead of the leading elements of the U.S. troops to fill a large crater in the only available vehicle route through Gagliano. They were taken under fire by 2 enemy machine guns. Sergeant Kisters and the officer, unaided in the face of intense small arms fire, advanced to the nearest machine gun emplacement and succeeded in capturing the gun and its crew of 4. Although the greater part of the remaining small arms fire was now directed on the captured machine gun position, Sergeant Kisters voluntarily advanced alone towards the second gun emplacement. While creeping forward, he was struck 5 times by enemy bullets, receiving wounds in both legs and his right arm. Despite the wounds, he continued to advance on the enemy and captured the second machine gun after killing 3 of its crew and forcing the 4th member to flee. The courage of this soldier and his unhesitating willingness to sacrifice his life, if necessary, served as an inspiration to the command. So it's quite an act of heroism. After this, these
I'll just say this. All these, when you read the deeds of guys who won the Victoria Cross, Medal of Honor, it's a mix of like insanity, bravery, courage, heroism, glory seeking. It's kind of like an entire
oh yeah,
mixture of those, um, emotions and traits.
actually, I'll say it here. If audience members haven't checked it out yet, I did a interview which turned into a documentary with Dave Holland, and it was titled "Medals of Honor Earned on Guadalcanal" for the ground forces. So he literally just told the story of every single Medal of Honor earned by the men who fought on the ground. And what's unique about the episode is Dave himself, a U.S. Marine, he actually has lived and worked on Guadalcanal for many years. He does tours, and he privately goes around Guadalcanal finding the locations where these Medal of Honors were earned. And no one else has really done this. He just does this on his lonesome, and he's actually uncovered a lot of relics while doing so. He thinks he actually found some pretty unique things that no other historian has ever found. It's a very interesting feat. He has his own YouTube channel, Guadalcanal Walking a Battlefield. It's a fantastic channel, and He himself is a Marine. He has the training. He actually trains Australian forces at the moment, and he knows f- from A to Z everything you would need to know, and he could explain everything at the top of his head. He doesn't do he doesn't do anything with notes. So when he did the 2 hour podcast with me, where he basically recounted the entire Guadalcanal campaign, he just did it off the top of his head. It's very impressive. I highly recommend checking him out, but I desist. The surrounding hilltops allowed the Axis forces to launch over 2 dozen counterattacks upon the American positions. Now, by August the 7th, the U.S. 18th Regiment captured Mount Pellegrino, which overlooks Troina, providing essential artillery observation. The defenders' left flank became exposed as the adjacent Hermann-Göring division was pushed back by the British 30th Corps. Concurrently, the U.S. 26th Regiment, supported by 5 artillery battalions, outflanked Troina by capturing Mount Basilio on August the 4th, effectively cutting off the Axis line of retreat. For 2 days, the Americans atop Mount Basilio repelled counterattacks, during which Private James W. Reese was killed while taking out a German machine gun, and he would be posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor as well. So I'm going to actually read his citation as well. For conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity at the risk of life, above and beyond the call of duty in action involving actual conflict with the enemy. When the enemy launched a counterattack which threatened the position of his company, Private Reese, as the acting squad leader of a 60-man motor squad, displayed superior leadership of his own initiative, maneuvering his squad forward to a favorable position, which, by skillfully directing the fire of his weapon, he caused many casualties in the enemy ranks, and he aided materially in repulsing the counterattack. When the enemy fire became so severe as to make his position untenable, he ordered the other members of his squad to withdraw to safer positions, but declined to seek safety for himself. So as to bring more effective fire upon the enemy, Private Reese, without assistance, moved his motor to a new position and attacked an enemy machine gun nest. He only had 3 rounds of ammunition, but secured a direct hit with his last round, completely destroying the nest and killing the occupants. Ammunition being exhausted, he abandoned the motor, seized a rifle, and continued to advance, moving into an exposed position overlooking the enemy. Despite a heavy concentration of machine gun, motor, and artillery fire, the heaviest experienced by his unit throughout the entire Sicilian campaign, he remained at his position and continued to inflict casualties upon the enemy until he was killed. His bravery, coupled with his gallant and unswerving determination to close with the enemy, regardless of consequences and obstacles which he faced, are a priceless inspiration to our armed forces. So, yet again, a extremely heroic act. Likewise, a bit
Indeed.
crazy, but he earned that posthumous Medal of Honor.